Hey everyone, another video for the first time in a little while. I said that I was going to do consistency for these, and I guess I kind of am-ish, but the gaps in between these videos is the hardest part to wrestle with, I think, because you get loads of work and then my head goes down and I'm trying to do the work and then I want to document it and I keep thinking about documenting it, but then the work comes back up and it becomes hard to deliver. But I said I was going to do these, I really want to do these, and I promised I would do these, and they're good for like legacy, for being able to track what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and be able to look back and see where growth is. Because first and foremost, I think sometimes it's really easy to forget just how much you've done. I've seen that in lots of other people that run their own thing, and people in careers too, who, just forget how far they've come, where we began. And in many cases, certainly, obviously, I've got skewed perception because of the people that I'm really lucky to be exposed to through the community, but in many cases, that ends up being, a lot more progression than we would generally realise. And in my case, that's true too. I forget how far I've come sometimes. The pivot of the current company to avoid it competing with the new company feels sometimes like, it's another change. Why are we changing again? But then I forget that we've been around for 10 years and change is necessary. If a company doesn't change, it will probably fail because the world changes all the time, the economy changes all the time, trends and wants and needs from the consumer change all the time. And companies that don't change die. I always use this example, but JJB Sports in the UK. I bought my football boots from them every year for about 18 years, for every season. Maybe not 18 years, maybe more like 14 years, because I didn't start playing until I was 4. But still, for over a decade I bought my football boots from them, and so did everybody else. Everybody bought their PE stuff from there, everybody bought loads of stuff from there. And then the pandemic hits and the company dies. I'm like, you had at least 10 years, probably 20 years to build up a big war chest to be able to stop you from dying as a company if something crazy hit like this. And you had even more time over that time, and at least definitely the resource to be able to innovate. But you didn't. They didn't change and they died. Whereas companies like Gymshark came along and they saw a change in the market and they were like, hey, we're going to do kind of what JJB Sports is doing, but only in a specific space, and we're going to do it by using influencers to increase our reach. And look where they are now. They're $1 billion company. So, I think change is necessary, and therefore I shouldn't be hard on myself for having to change. And I also shouldn't be too hard on myself for not recording these videos when things get busy, but I have promised that I would do them. So, that's a little apology for you guys. And when I say you guys, I don't even know how many people watch these. It's only a few people at the moment, but what sort of consistency would you like? Maybe I do one once a week, maybe I do one every now and again. Maybe you don't have the choice and I'm just going to do it when I can, but I'd like to meet in the middle somewhere and figure that out. So comment if you've got any ideas or thoughts. Other streamers, other creators, other people that are doing stuff specifically in the business space would be good, but just generally, how often do they post? Is it a bit too much? Is it not enough? Someone who I really love watching on YouTube, and I never thought I would watch people on YouTube. I always thought that was crazy, but just to shout somebody out, I really love watching on YouTube because I love how, I'm sure they put lots of effort into their content, but it feels quite, ad hoc, and not pretty. Just cut, start and end of the video. Is a guy called Matt, and he does, travel content, and it's just the fact that he does the content consistently. Sometimes he doesn't even want to film, and doesn't say anything, and sometimes those are the most endearing videos. So I'm talking all about the videos here, and that wasn't the aim of this video, but worth bringing up anyway. Anyway, where am I at? Quick update. Want to keep this quick, certainly under 10 minutes for you guys to find out where I'm at, and for me to record where I'm at for legacy purposes. Lots going on. So right now there is a company that is just starting, there is a company that is now pivoting, and there's a couple of clients in between that are allowing me to pay bills. The company that's pivoting has been a bit frustrating. That company is different. Different needs to pivot so that it doesn't compete with the new company. The new company is going to go and deeply focus on entrepreneurship. The mission there is to dramatically and fundamentally democratize entrepreneurship as a career choice for anyone, anywhere, and unlock the ideas that are otherwise locked inside the minds of people who don't have access to that kind of support at the moment. I think that's ridiculous. And also to fundamentally affect the failure rate of companies, which is like for some reason high, and we're okay with it, and I don't think that's acceptable, so I wanted to do something about that too. But in going that way, and different, if it weren't to change, if it wasn't to change, would end up competing with it, and I can't run two competing companies. That doesn't make sense. So different is changing, and kind of has changed now, versus the last video, which would have been, you know, in the future tense, is kind of in the current/past tense now, where I'm focusing different on soft skills training and development. And the reason for that is because it's very closely related to entrepreneurship, but doesn't necessarily directly overlap as a company. Soft skills are everything when you think about it, when you come to career and business, right? You can have a rubbish product, but if you have the ability to sell it to somebody, you have a business. I'm not advocating having a rubbish product, but if you have the perfect product but no ability to communicate that with anyone, anywhere, then you don't have a business, you just have a really nice product sat there doing nothing. Ideally you have both. Ideally you have a great product and great soft skills, and hopefully a combination of two companies I'll end up running can do that. But I want to do it in a super wholesome way as well. And so what we're doing with Different is we're pivoting to provide soft skills training to the next wave of leaders. It doesn't necessarily mean young people, but it's just the next wave of leaders, people that want to up their skills, level up in their career from where they're at now to something more, and give them everything they need to do that. Understanding of personal brand, how to lead, how to communicate, how to present, how to pitch, how to have better meetings, how to send better emails, and everything in between. How to be on top of your game, you know. Dare I call it personal development, because there's a lot of tainted content in that space under that title that feels a little bit coachy, and that's not the angle we're going for. We're going for something super comprehensive, super wholesome, and something that fundamentally can affect your capability of achieving new opportunities. And we're doing that in a nice way where we're getting companies to sponsor the memberships of people that otherwise might not be able to access the support that we're providing, so that they get to do something really nice for people and give back. And also it's a marketable activity. Hey, look, we're helping some really cool people. We get to develop some people from where they're at to where they want to be. And in that process, hopefully create a really great talent pool that those companies can maybe recruit from eventually as well. That's where we've been going. And right now, 3 content modules are live on the community. As of yesterday, I've spent so much time turning that space behind me into a film studio, and you'll see some of the content through the community, and certainly screenshots of it if you haven't got access yet soon. And as I start to market that, and there's about 30-40 videos that I've still got to record, and those modules will come out over time so that we don't overwhelm people as they come on board into the community. We're going to be recording interviews and webinars with people that are specifically experts in each of these spaces. So perhaps we'll have somebody who's an expert on interviewing, somebody who's an expert on confidence, someone who is a renowned speaker talking about presentation, and a whole bunch of other things. All of these things are designed to, quote unquote, unlock the super skills that allow you to progress in your career and business, and that's the aim of that product. We have 55 sponsored members signed up already, so these companies have come along and said, hey, I want to sponsor people to come through this program and this content and this community that you're running, and give them lifetime access, and that's what we're doing with 55 people already. The aim is to get that to 1,000 people a year. It's just me here, and that brings me to the next bit. So the next bit is unlocking the capability of doing more. I have one pair of hands and a finite amount of time in the day. I have a very specific set of skills. Sound like Liam Neeson, but I do. And those are ideation, vision, strategy, sales, marketing, hype, driving interest. And I love doing that for the first half of the time. When I need to be a completer finisher, but it's not my natural tendency, and that's okay, right? Like, the importance is understanding what you're powerful at where your failings might be, or at least where your gaps are, not failings, but where your weaknesses are, strengths and weaknesses. People ask about that in interviews all the time, and loads of people will say, oh, I work too hard, or I care too much, but mine is mostly powered by something that I've not long discovered was probably the case, which is neurodiversity. ADHD is almost certainly a diagnosis that I will get at some point when the NHS waitlist finally catches up with itself. But treating my life like that's the case so far, it all makes sense. One of the tendencies I have that go along with that is that I'm really interested in the early part of a project, but then needing to partner with people that love completing things. And so that's what I'm trying to find now. Again, to be transparent and open and document this process along the way, not in hindsight with you. Where I'm at right now is thinking, okay, we have different here, and that's a new pivot for that company. I'm doing all the exciting stuff up front, managing that community and onboarding those customers and keeping them happy and making them re-sign and retain for the year to support more people next year. So we have an ARR based business, an annual recurring revenue based business, as opposed to a one-off sponsorship based business, is the aim. And that's easier done with somebody else on board, someone who is operations focused, someone who's completer finisher focused, and I'm having conversations about that at the moment with somebody. Secondly, we have the meetups. And the meetups, I've realised, for the first time in ever, which is ridiculous, are actually essentially a business in of themselves. They've always been a marketing funnel for different, and that's what they'll remain. But they've often, or previously, in the past, got to a point where they've been big enough to be sponsored by something. And in some cases by quite large companies for quite a lot of money. And in some cases relatively easily pitched as well. The meetups themselves, at full fruition, stand to potentially be a mid-5 to early 6-figure business if we get them back to where they were. That's really exciting, and that's also kind of frustrating because I'm sat here with one pair of hands and a limited amount of time thinking, wow, what if we got back to the 21 cities, 9 countries, 100 events, 5,000 people a year that we were previously at, as a massive impact-based organisation, and also a really great brand awareness and lead funnel for the brands that I'm building. At the moment, Rebel Meetups are powered by different. Next, the Rebel Meetups could be powered by the new company or powered by both in a strategic partnership to drive awareness of each of them. So I'm looking for somebody to help me with that now too. Somebody who is also a completer finisher, somebody who's really passionate about communities and events and getting people together, someone who finds it really natural to just chase people up and say, how did an event go and how can we help you with the next one? That's something that I love doing, but again, there's only a limited amount of time. So in true, I guess, delegation style, and something that I've learned from the content I put out myself for the people that are coming into the different community, of which one of those videos is about delegation and prioritization, trying to find somebody to help with that too. Are they the same person? Maybe. It's more likely they'll be separate people, but both of those people stand to gain by being involved in both of those things, potentially being paid by both those things, and potentially being involved in an equity basis in both of those things. Exciting opportunities for those people. By the time you watch this, I may have found those people. But if you know the perfect person, or if you are the perfect person for that, get in touch. I'd love to have a chat. I'll put my email, probably. I don't know if I put my email in a description box on YouTube. It is an invite for spam. But we'll give it a go. I'll probably put my email in the description and then we'll see where we go. And now I'm aware this video is getting on, so a quick catch up on the new thing, the exciting thing, the thing that I started these videos mostly to document. Build is the working title of this new thing, and to recap, it is putting a virtual co-founder in the pocket of every potential creator on the planet. A couple of things on there. One is that pitch. It's been honed now, a lot more than it was probably the first time I did these videos. The reason it's honed is because it does take practice, but two is because I'm realising more and more that we need to lean into what I like to call, and I mean this in a very stereotypical way, a very generalised way, but like what I like to call American confidence. I put my American hat on when I start pitching that. And what I mean by that is that by being a plucky, humble Brit, we're really apologetic about things sometimes. And so the usual pitch for that would be, I'm just trying to find a way to help more people start businesses. But that doesn't sound super exciting, right? Like, who wants to invest in that? Who wants to be part of that? That's exactly the same company as the other one I described, but the first one sounds way more interesting and gets the juices flowing from a creative point of view, from an inspirational point of view, from an entrepreneurial point of view. I want to be involved in that. I want to try that, check that out. So that's what I'm building. done 6 technical workshops with an agency here in Bristol. I've had a product workshop with someone who is previously leading the ventures arm of a massive company in America, and a bunch of other meetings that are starting to unlock thoughts, strategies and processes for the new company. I'm now doing talks in London to be able to pay for the train tickets because they'll cover my travel, and I'm doing the talks for free to go and be in London more so I can meet more investors, because Bristol doesn't have a huge amount of them, which is ridiculous, but they're all part of one group, and once you've spoken to them, you're kind of out of people to talk to. And then then it's about getting on to chatting to those people and getting the first checks. That confidence and that building in improving the pitch over time is allowing me to get more people interested in that company. I had a call just yesterday where I pitched it naturally, organically, really well, because I practiced it now. And as a result, we got to the end of the call and the guy said, hey, I'd be pretty interested in finding out more, wouldn't be able to give you a huge check, but would be keen to find out more about being a potential angel in the round. That's amazing. All I really need to do is have that conversation 10, 20, 100 more times and have the same outcome, and away we go. So this is a game of chess. It's a puppet master thing. I've got to pivot this company away here, which is almost kind of done. I've got to launch this new company here, which is almost ready to go. I've got Rebel meetups that are sat there waiting to happen, but need a little bit more input. And then I've got these clients that I'm managing in the meantime that are paying the bills. They're lovely people to work for. The tasks are really engaging and interesting. Are they a slight distraction? Sure. I've got to pay for the rent, right? And that's the important thing. And I think that's probably the message I'll leave you with, because I realise this video is getting on, is that if you're thinking of starting anything, and you're worried about where the cash is going to come from, protect that first. Always protect that first. So many videos and founders and entrepreneurs will tell you, sacrifice. You don't need a plan A and plan B if you've got a plan A, and plan A has to work, right? There is some truth to that. I left my job to start my first business really scarily and was really nervous about it, but it did just work out because in a way it had to work out. So there is some truth to that whole analogy of jumping off a cliff and building the plane or the parachute on the way down, right? That's the analogy we use for entrepreneurs, and that's kind of true. However, there's no point in jumping off that cliff if you don't have the parts available or the knowledge available to build that plane or that parachute on the way down in the first place. What I mean by that is building anything while you are financially stressed is really difficult, because it saps so much mental energy from you and stops you being focused on creativity and the innovation that's required and the hustle that's required to go and build a business. When I say hustle, I mean picking up the phone, sending emails. I don't just mean, this Gary Vee style version of hustle, which is almost this glamorized version of it. The grit, the resilience that you need. Worrying about things like money steal energy from you that should be focused on that, and can also lead more so to burnout. In my case, I found that to be true. So protect the financial ends just enough. Those contracts that I've got right now pay me just enough to cover my ass every single month. If I want to do anything nice, then that is something that I have to wait for, or I have to put on a credit card, or I have to go and sell something to cover with pocket money for the time being. Those are things that are just necessary right now. They've been necessary for a bit too long. That's why I'm really ramping things up now to really cash in a lot of that leverage, a lot of that integrity, a lot of that cachet that I've built over time to turn into capital, because I'm tired of being, not wealthy when everybody thinks I am. But that's the whole point of these, right? It's just to hopefully show you the journey from nothing to something, or at least not nothing, right? I've got a roof over my head, I've got good opportunities, and I've had 10 years in the game so far. So it's not nothing, but relatively speaking, with different pivoting, that's kind of a new approach. With Rebel meetups going from everything to nothing and back again, kind of a fresh start. And with this new company, it's certainly a fresh company because it doesn't even exist yet. I haven't formed it yet, and I haven't bought the domain name yet. So you get to watch that from day one. So that's it. A much longer video than I expected to produce. I'm really sorry for making you watch this for so long. I spoke quite quickly, so maybe putting it on 1.5 times speed might be a bit too fast. Hopefully not, and you can get this done a little bit faster. But again, this is more so legacy for me, remembering where I came from, what I was doing at the time, and hopefully updating you on some cool stuff in the meantime. Anyway, I'll leave you to it. Do good, be good, Let me know if you have any questions. Roast these videos. Tell me if there's anything I'm doing wrong, apart from speaking for too long. It's the ADHD talking. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.